All right, and we're live. Hello, everyone. We're back with another live stream on the YouTube channel. It's me again. Hi, everyone. It's Candace. I hope you guys are having a lovely day. How are you guys doing? I do see a couple of familiar faces in chat already. How's it going, everyone? Hi, Claire. Welcome back. All right. How's it going, everyone? Today we're gonna be having like an interview today with one of our students. But if you are looking to join one of our free workshops later this month, stay tuned, right? Until the end because I am gonna be sharing a bit about future events by the end of this session and like how you can sign up to our next workshop. So if you are interested, if after this you would be interested in joining like a free workshop where we teach you how to make manga, right? And we make manga and draw manga together on the spot, then stay tuned. All right. But other than that, right? How are you guys doing? What time is it there? Where are you guys tuning in from? I'd love to know. This is something that I always like to do at the start of every live because I just want to get to know you guys a bit more because this is a pretty intimate type of live since we do typically have just like a small audience on the channel, but I love getting to know you guys all the same because it is such a small audience and like it's always fun to get to know more fellow artists, right? So, yeah. Let me know what time is it? Where are you guys tuning in from? Okay. Hi, Star, 6 p.m. from Texas. Hi. I hope you're having a good night. Good night. Sorry. I'm hoping you're having a good evening. Don't go, not good night, because that implies that I want you to go to sleep. No, I hope you're having a good evening. Okay. Jennifer from the US. Hi, Jennifer. Welcome back. Always happy to see you, Jennifer. Claire, 8 a.m. in the Philippines. Same. A high panel from Washington. I believe it's nighttime from all of our friends in the US around nighttime now. Panel 4 p.m. Hi panel. Jotaku is doing great and it's midnight. Oh my goodness, thank you so much for joining us so late, Jotaku. Hope you're having a good time and I hope you're um all settled for today's live stream, right? Even though it's so late. Again, thank you so much for joining so late. Asbestos, it's 8 p.m. for Asbestos. Hi, Asbestos. Welcome. So, thank you guys for joining us today, right? And for those of you who are here, I do have a question, right? Have you guys ever made manga before, or do you want to make manga? Just show of hands, right? Just raise your hand in chat if you've ever made manga before or you want to make manga, right? I am curious. Me, I am in the process of trying to learn how to make manga. I haven't made manga yet before. Um, but I do work for a channel that teaches me all about how to make manga, so it works, right? So that's what I've been doing pretty much this past year is just learning how to make manga um as I'm working here. So I'm currently in the process of learning. Yeah. How about you guys? Jitatko says yes. Star says no, but I want to. Yeah, okay. Madarts. I'll just call you Madarts. Madarts is raising her hand. Okay. Mom Spaghettios says I make one shots and do script writing. All right, that's cool. That's cool. Jennifer, I haven't made a manga in my life. Same, but I'm learning. Claire says made stories on paper is not a proper manga though. By story on paper, do you mean like comics or do you mean like just I don't know, like written short stories, like short novels or something like that? Asbestos, I've tried a couple of times and like to write short stories. That's cool. That's cool. Kaizen, I finally caught a live. Welcome, finally. Congrats, Kaizen, for finally making it to a live stream. All right. And I do I do feel for some of you guys who've tried a couple of times but have had some experience with writing, because I do come from a writing background. I write for a living, basically, and I was a journalist before this, so I've had a plenty of experience writing, and the whole reason why I really got into manga in the first place is because I was really interested in that type of storytelling. So, yeah, I feel you guys. I feel you. So, for those of you who want to make manga, I'm assuming everyone, right, at this point, for those of you who want to make manga, like, you're not alone, okay? Because a lot of people want to make manga. They have ideas, characters, and even worlds in their head, right? But actually finishing a manga, putting it out there, that's where things get hard, right? Because a lot of things can get in the way. Maybe life gets busy, you overthink, you keep polishing your work, or you keep redoing what you already have. And suddenly weeks or months have passed without you finishing anything. Right? So raise your hand in chat if this sounds like you. If for any reason something has stopped you from finishing your manga or from making your manga. It could be just there's not enough time, or you don't feel like you're ready, or you feel like you don't have the right skills to even start, right? If any of this is ringing a bell, just raise your hand in chat, right? That's definitely me. I mean, the whole reason why I only just started getting into like wanting to make manga is because for the longest time I always thought I only know how to write, and that wouldn't be enough to make a manga, right? Which is totally not true. A lot of students in our program, some of them have had experience like writing, but they didn't think that was enough to make a manga, right? Which isn't true, right? I know that manga is a very it's a visual medium for sure, right? But plenty of mangakas start off not knowing how to draw when they started making manga. Like top of my head, one, the mangaka behind One Punch Man, and Isayama, the mangaka behind Attack on Titan. Either both of them knew how to draw, right? But they didn't know how to draw well, but they knew how to tell stories. So, if you're interested in storytelling, even with your art skills not being the best, you can definitely still make manga, right? So for those of you who may be thinking that making manga is impossible because of a variety of things, you're busy, you don't have enough skills, then I hope you can take some notes from our guest today, the person that we'll be speaking with today. All right, because the person we'll be speaking with today is our student Cheesewobble. Now, Cheesewobble is someone who's been really immersed in manga, like drawing, writing, and reading manga constantly to improve his craft. But what's really cool is that since joining the program, he actually released a one shot in our official manga anthology, One Shot Your Manga era, right? And what's crazier is that he ended up finishing his entire one shot in about 10 days, pulling some pretty intense work sessions just to get it done. And yeah, so we're going to be talking about what that experience was like making his one shot manga for this, and what the stressful parts were, and what he learned from the entire experience, right? So, hi Cheesewobble. Feel free to unmute, and yeah, can you introduce yourself and say hi to our audience for today?
Hello. Um, my name is Cheesewobble. That is my legal birth given name. You can totally believe me on that. Uh, I basically just, I don't really do much other than just make manga and draw. I study writing pretty much 24/7 whenever I'm not drawing, and that's pretty much it.
All right. So, since thank you, Cheese Wobble. Thank you for joining us today. And I wanted to touch on what you said about okay, you pretty much don't do anything outside of making manga, right? But you study writing 24/7. Okay. So, could you maybe describe um maybe tell us, sorry, could you maybe tell us like what sort of mangas inspired you or got you into wanting making manga in the first place?
Uh, like specific series, I'd say Chainsaw Man, Gachiakuta,
Mm.
One Piece, to like tons of other ones. You could probably just
Mm.
name anything from Jump and it'd probably make the list.
Mm. So is it fair to say like the kind of manga you want to make is shonen manga then? Or
Yes.
oh, all right, all right. That's interesting because like the one shot that we're gonna be reviewing today, it's a horror manga, right? Is it fair to say that's it's a horror manga?
Yeah, it's the seinen.
Yeah. So that's pretty interesting, but you don't the kind of manga you want to make isn't just strictly like shonen then, right? You like, since you have like dabbled into horror. Like maybe can you describe like have you got that figured out yet? Like what sort of manga you want to make or are you just experimenting at this point?
Well, uh, it's funny because at the time of writing Needles, I actually already knew what I wanted to create, and I
Mm.
knew that it wasn't this. Uh, I knew like from the beginning that I always wanted to make shonen manga because like everything I read is like fighting. Everything
Mm.
I like to read has like good characters behind it, and it's just like I think it has so much power behind it.
Yeah. Yeah. I do agree that a lot of series from Jump, they have really powerful characters. It's the reason why they're so popular, right? I mean, I've read I think everything that you named. I've read Chainsaw Man, I've read One Piece, and I've read Gachiakuta. I just caught up to Gachiakuta, I think a couple weeks ago. And I got into Gachiakuta because of the anime. And when the anime ended, I was like, okay, I need to read more. So I got into the manga. And I really like all of the characters from Gachiakuta and also from Chainsaw Man. I mean, I really like Denji as a protagonist, but I haven't caught up to the manga yet because I feel like um I got distracted once Gachiakuta came out, honestly. But yeah, I do get your point about these mangas having like really strong protagonists at the helm. And what's really one of the key things that makes a manga so popular is because of their protagonists and because of their main characters. So if you want to make like a manga that's really memorable or that'll really hit amongst like a larger viewership, then you gotta get your characters right before anything else, right? So that said, like, can you maybe recall or mention, yeah, could you maybe mention some main characters or like some of your favorite protagonists? Could be anime, could be manga, that may have that are your typical inspirations for your original characters, if you have them.
Yeah, Dingy and Naruto were definitely up there.
Mm,
Uh, although I think Naruto is probably one of the ones I think are the best
mm,
because it's like hmm, I think it's just I think out of the big three, I think Naruto is like I mean I like One Piece more, but I think Naruto is the best one, I guess.
as a character, yeah.
Yeah, like yeah, yeah, of course. Although I think a bit of a sleeper pick of mine is probably what's his name? Ko from Call of the Night.
Ooh, okay, I'm not familiar. So is that
Uh
a shonen manga or
uh yeah, it's shonen. It's I have the manga right here. It's published by Shonen Sunday.
okay.
And the reason I like Ko is because it's like he's such a like normal character, but it's like taken in such an interesting perspective. Like he's like an average kid, but
Mm,
but everything he does is above like not average because he like goes out at night and skips school every single day and he
mm,
talks to vampires. Like it's
mhm,
I think and on top of that his character arc is also very interesting because it's like it's very feels very down to earth but also very like fantasy at the same time.
mm,
I think it's very
mm,
well done.
mm. Interesting that you mentioned that as you're describing, like, is it Ko, right? Or
Yes,
Ko? Yeah,
I
as you're
think.
describing him, I am reminded of like a similar character, a similar protagonist, like Goku. I think Goku came from similar origins as that first chapter of Dragon Ball. Literally, he's just a kid, and what makes him stand out so much is he literally just has like a monkey tail. But then as you get deeper into like the first chapter of Dragon Ball, you notice, this toddler can do crazy things, can do martial arts, he's pretty badass, and he has a monkey tail. Right? So I would say like Goku, like comparing him to what you just described, a bit more goofier, but in terms of like breaking expectations and breaking like stereotypes about protagonists, because at the time, right, Dragon Ball came out like way earlier than a lot of like the popular manga that you just mentioned, right, like Chainsaw Man, One Piece, Gachiakuta. But I think the big three, like One Piece, Naruto, Bleach, all of them were inspired by Dragon Ball. So at the time, having like a kid protagonist um doing martial arts was pretty groundbreaking. So yeah, similar to what you just described for like like Goku did. Goku is pretty similar in that sense. And I think a lot of like shonen protagonists are pretty similar in that the characters seem like the type of characters you would relate to, but there's just something about them that stands out and really makes you want to root for them, basically. I think that's really the key if you want to make like a really memorable protagonist is you make them relatable, but you also make them stand out just enough that you want to root for them. So, yeah. So, moving past like inspirations, right? So, now that we've gone through okay, the things that made you want to make manga, what made you decide to join the one-shot manga drawing program then?
Uh, well, I found the YouTube channel, I'd say like a year before I joined, and I was like, at that point, I already knew I wanted to be a manga artist.
Mm.
It's just that I didn't know how, and I found the channel, and I was like, this is it. I was like, if I want to be a manga artist, this could help me do that very this could help me a lot, right?
Yeah. All right,
Now,
all right.
of course, you still have to like if you join, you still have to like be ready to like do all the work yourself. So you got to put the work in, but it's very good.
Okay, I'm happy to hear that then. And I'm happy you found the program by the time you did, right? Because but before you joined the program, right? What were you doing trying to learn like were you already trying to learn how to make manga by yourself before joining, or did you just decide to learn once you discovered the
Uh,
channel?
what I was doing was I was like I think I was a sophomore or
Mm.
maybe a junior, I can't quite remember, but it but there was this digital art class that my high school had, uh, and I was in it, and one of the assignments was to just make a comic as an assignment.
Mm.
and I was like, "Hey, this is fun." And uh, the end, I guess, happily ever after. That was like it. That was like, "Hey, this is fun. I should do this."
And since then, you've just been like dabbling? Like, were you taking it seriously since then? Or
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I went all in on it.
mm,
Like the digital art teacher, I asked him like, "Hey, do you know any comic artists?" He said, "Yeah, I know a few." And then I never followed up on that because because the digital art teacher and the normal art class teacher was already a comic artist, so I could just ha ask him instead. So,
yeah,
um,
free advice.
yeah. And he gave me so much advice on how to improve my art, and in his class I eventually found my style,
Mm,
uh which yeah, that's
mm,
that's it.
mm-mm. Okay. So you, so at that point, would it be fair to say like you were making comics then? Like,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, for like it was like probably the beginning of, or no, it was probably nearing the end of my junior year whenever I was
Mm,
like filling up sketchbook after sketchbook after sketchbook of just manga ideas and stories and character drawings and this and that. Like
mm,
in my senior year alone, I think I went through like 6 sketchbooks, I think.
as you
Because
do.
yeah, I wasn't even paying attention in class in my senior year. I was just drawing. Like
Which,
uh
okay, if any minors are listening, like, don't do that. Pay attention in class. But I guess for you, I mean, I get that because I do know I have a lot of artist friends who are exactly the same. They just don't pay attention in class and they just scribble
I mean, I
on the
still got
side.
good grades. I still got all
Yeah.
my assignments done.
Yeah.
So my teachers weren't complaining. So
Yeah. Okay, that's good. That's good then. So you managed to juggle both at the same time and still came out pretty well. All right. So that means like once you discovered, let's say, I think once you discovered like fairy tale, that's when was that when you decided to, oh, I want to make manga specifically then?
Fairy Tale, no, that was the first anime I've ever watched. That happened
Mm.
like all the way back in like third or fourth grade, maybe even before
Oh,
that.
okay. So that you'd when you started drawing then you'd already been aware of like anime and manga when you started drawing. But what was the thing that
Actually, wait, no,
I know.
I've been drawing since even before that. I've been drawing since I was a kid. It wasn't until
Oh.
later I discovered anime and manga, and then I was like, and then further down the road, I decided to use the skills I already had like developed throughout my life
Mm,
to
like
actually
manga.
use. Yeah.
Got it. So just really curious, like what was it about manga specifically that that really drew you in and made you decide, "Oh, I want to make manga."
Uh, well, it was either that or become an animator, and
Mm.
I've tried animating. I I do not like it. It is like so boring to me. Like I can't draw the same exact thing,
Frame by
slightly
frame.
different.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
with manga, it's like a whole different shot and a whole different thing to it, each individual panel. So it's able to hold my interest more
Yeah.
as an artist.
Yeah. Get that. I get that. I do know a lot of like animation. I have a lot of some of the artist friends that I mentioned earlier, some of them are animators and like they actually worked in like the animation industry. And what's really interesting is that it takes longer. Like animation takes so much longer
Yeah.
and it's because there's so much detail work that goes into it because you're drawing frame by frame. So there are even some other students in the program who were initially interested in animation at first, but once they learned about how, oh my gosh, it takes like two times, not even two times, like five times as long as just making a manga. That's when they, oh, okay, I have no patience for this. I'll make manga instead. So totally valid. All right. Okay. So since joining the program, right, you're here, you've learned how to make manga, you've made like multiple small projects before this project, right, before Needles. So now you've already released Needles, your one shot in the manga anthology. So how do you feel about having it out in the world now?
Um, I wish I started sooner on it because I do not like the art that much. The art in the manga is not up to my standard, and it is definitely not at my skill level. And
Hmm.
I don't like the art. I think it's like I don't hate it or anything. Like I think some of the panels are fine. Like that
Hmm.
last panel on the second page and the one on screen,
Yeah.
I think that one's fine.
Tough crowd, tough crowd. Okay. All right.
I'm my
So
toughest critic.
I get that. Totally get that. So, like, okay, looking at this in hindsight, right? I'm getting that you weren't 100% satisfied with it, which is totally fine because is this your first like finished like 16, 17 page one shot?
Uh, yes, my first
Yeah.
16 page, but not my first one shot.
Yeah. So it's your
Uh,
first like longer one shot then.
yeah.
Yeah. Because I know before this you were making like 2 page, 4 page, 8 page one shots.
Well, before I joined the program, actually, I say like there was the World This World manga contest back
Mm.
in last February, and I entered a thing into that.
Got it. So for that, was it also 16 page or was it shorter?
I think it was 11 page, 12,
Ah,
12, it was 12.
got it. Got it. So this Needles is like the longest one shot that you've made then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's
Okay.
tied for the longest because I've made a
Type.
second one since
Mm.
then.
Yeah, you've made a second one for, is it like the Kadokawa
Yeah.
contest? Yeah. Yeah. So, but this is like the first one that you finished. That's a bit longer than previous one shots that you've made, right? So,
Yeah.
considering that experience already, you've made multiple one shots before this, and you still weren't satisfied with this one. So, what do you, why do you think that is? Was it because like you didn't have enough time, or maybe, um, you weren't
I,
as focused? Why do you think?
I don't think it was the time.
Hmm.
I think it was a mixture of like I don't like the story that much. I mean, I don't think it's bad. I just think the writing could have been a little bit like more ironed
Hmm.
out. I guess.
Mm.
And I also think it's because I this is a horror manga and my regular style is not suited for horror manga in the slightest, so I had to change it. I had to change how I drew, and it messed
Mm.
me up because I don't change my style like
Mm.
ever. So it ended up becoming like half baked, I guess.
Mm. So, did you intend to make a horror manga in the first place, or was this something that you wanted to experiment with?
Yeah, this was I even though I said earlier I know I didn't want to make a horror manga, I decided, hey, I want to make a horror manga. So I did. So, uh, this was actually from a nightmare that I had, and I was like, "Hey, this
Mm.
was the most traumatizing experience of my entire life, and it was from a dream. Funny how that works. I should traumatize everybody else."
Yeah. And
And that was my
I
thought
definitely
process.
was. When I read this, I think that last like splash page, it wasn't a splash page,
Yeah,
but like big illustration of, I won't say any spoilers because I want you guys to go ahead and read it. But yeah, that definitely did like leave an impression on me as I went through the rest of the mangas, right, in the anthology. So, yeah, I think beginning with that entire thought process like, hey, I had this really traumatic experience. It was a nightmare, but I think it would be worth like drawing it out into a manga and like traumatizing you guys as well, right? I think that's also like a good premise to making a manga and just like experimenting, because a lot of beginners struggle with is just like trying to find inspiration and trying to find ideas, right? And for you, the inspiration for this was a nightmare, like your personal experience. So, is that something that you typically do? Do you typically draw from personal experience for your mangas, or
Uh,
are you just like a well of ideas?
I wouldn't say a well of ideas. Well, I
Mm.
guess I do have a lot of ideas. It's just that a lot of them suck, so I don't ever use them. But but I don't think I ever draw from personal experience. I mean, I had some things here and there from my
Mm.
experience, but it's never like about things I've experienced, I should say. It's just things I
Mm.
know about or things that, yeah, just things I know about pretty much. Or
Mm. Yeah.
this one's like the first one that actually was from an experience I had.
Mm. And I just really quick, I want to point out this comment from Fetchy Freya. They say he sounds sad. He shouldn't be. He should be proud. It's important to see your shortcomings, but don't get it discouraged. I've seen
Okay,
way worse in terms of art skills, which,
okay. I
yeah.
should say that I did not get discouraged after, like, I thank you for the kind words, but I was very inspired
Mm.
by, like, after I finished this, I felt like the most inspired I'd ever been. Even though I don't like the product that much, it's just like it's just like how I'm looking at it as a critic, I should say.
Yeah.
But like while I was drawing it, I still like I wouldn't not do this again. I wouldn't I liked that I did this. Like I
Mm.
just wish I did a little bit things.
Better.
I wish I did things better and differently and
Yeah.
changed some things, but I
Yeah.
did not get discouraged after I made this.
And I think that's very important, right? That's a very key thing if you want to keep making manga is it's fine to not be satisfied by a project just as long as you don't let it discourage you from keeping on making manga, right? I think that's a very fine line that a lot of beginners struggle with, is that as soon as they finish a project or they're not satisfied with something, they just like, oh my God, I'm not good at this. I should just give up. That's something that that's a pitfall that a lot of people, beginners, like fall down, right? But if you really want to keep going, if you really want to keep getting better at making manga, you have to keep your passion for it alive while recognizing your shortcomings, because you'll never get better if you just keep like gaslighting yourself into thinking this is the best thing I've ever made, just for the sake of keeping your ego up, right? That's not how like progress works, right? So if you hit your peak so early on, like what else is there to go off of right from there, right? So it's really important to have that sort of self-criticism and keep yourself in check, but at the same time still keep yourself no, keep your mindset up, right? And keep encouraging yourself to still keep going and still keep getting better and better, right? So that's really important to have. That's a really important mindset to have. All right, you guys. Okay. So for you, what was the most exciting or challenging part about making this one shot specifically?
Uh, I think this is like I mean, I don't know. Like I like I was just excited to like actually start, I guess. Like I
Mm,
don't like this was like the first thing like I was like I know I said I entered into the Wordless World manga contest, but this is
mm,
like the first one that actually felt like I had a chance of being noticed as a manga artist. Uh so I guess I was excited to get it into the contest into the anthology.
mm. Okay. And the challenging part then?
Uh I'd say probably the two things. One is that I was like kind of pressing up against the deadline when like whenever I finally was able to start. Uh, and I finished it in 10 days, which might sound impressive until you realize that it
It's not
was
fun.
torture. It was torture. Yeah. I was like literally I woke up every day, worked all day, and then went to sleep and had lunch a few times or lunch or dinner.
Mm,
And then that was like my whole day for 10 days. In fact, I think my exact wording in the anthology was 10-ish days because I can't actually remember how many days it took because after I spent so many days on it, all the days started melting together. Like, like I know it was at like around 10 because I
mm,
remember I had something going on uh to where like I could only work on it up until December 10th.
mm.
So that was my deadline, even though the deadline was technically on the 15th. Uh, so I had 5 less days to work on it to like compared to everybody else.
Yeah.
Uh, but so it was around 10. And the second thing was that this was my first time using Clip Studio Paint on like such a
Oh.
large scale. So I
Mm.
had to learn how to do everything as I needed to do it, which is not effective in any way. Um, I mean, it kind of worked. It didn't not work, and plus I did learn a lot, so
Yeah.
there's that.
Mm. So, wait, sorry, but you mean like first time using Clip Studio Paint, like you'd never used Clip Studio Paint before, or
I
you
mean,
had,
I've
but just
like
like occasionally?
I had it for like about 6 months, but the
Mm.
thing is that I didn't know how to use it, so I just
Right.
instead of learning how to use it, I just didn't use it. Like I bought it. I was like, this is gonna help me so much in the future. I'll learn how to use it. This is gonna be so good for me. And then I went out of my way to not use it. And I went back to Procreate on my iPad because I already knew how to use that.
Mm. Okay. So,
But whenever I started making this, I kind of had to use it. So I was like, okay, time to lock in.
yeah, time to lock it. All right. So, after your experience like using Clip Studio Paint with this, would you say like you'd keep using Clip Studio Paint
Oh,
or
absolutely. It is the best thing ever.
yeah. Yeah. It's so convenient, especially for making manga, that's for sure.
Like
So,
nothing
yeah.
compares to it. I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah. Right. It's a reason why every pro mangaka uses it, right? It's a standard platform that they use. So, like, do you say for now, like after going through this experience making this using Clip Studio Paint, are you gonna keep making manga with Clip Studio Paint from now on then? Like, do you feel like you have a handle on it now?
Yeah, there's still a lot of things I need to learn about it even still, like
Mm.
vector layers. I
Mm.
recently learned that those are like the meta. They're like god tier like like programming software programming. I don't even know what to call it, but it's like like vector layers are so good. And I didn't use them at all for this one shot or even my next one shot after this because I didn't
Mm.
know what they were, so I didn't use them. But
Okay. Something to look forward to then on your next project, learning how to use vector
yeah.
layers. Okay. Got it. All right. So, after like going through this entire process, I'm what I'm getting is that you have a pattern of you keep learning new things for every project. Is it fair to say?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, in that case, like in the program, what's it been like learning how to make manga and also learning directly like from pro mangaka mentors in the program?
It's very useful information you get. It is like there are things that I learn about in the course that I never even thought of while making manga. like
Mm.
the panel gutters, for example. I never knew that was like a thing people thought about. I didn't know about I didn't know about like proper how to like do proper reading directions. There's also things where you got to consider like if you want to print it, you're gonna have to do like the screen tones, and you can't just do gray tones. Um, there's like a ton of like there's tons of things you pick up.
Mm.
Also in terms of writing, I've leveled up so much in terms of writing
Mm.
since joining the program because I did some research before joining, but I didn't really know much, and uh and then I like started putting it into practice, and then I saw my mistakes, and then I like was like, wow, this is like I can see the improvement is really good.
Mm. Okay. Got it. It's interesting that you mentioned like writing then. So have you ever had I know you've gone through like critiquing with the mentors before, right? And
Yes.
would they critique have they critiqued your writing yet? I assume they have, right? Because
Uh
you give them your pitches, you give them your beat sheets.
yeah, I don't know if I've gotten like critiqued on the writing from the mentors, but
Mm.
BV has critiqued my writing.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Uh
Vivi is a mentor.
I was talking about like the storyboard mentor and the editors,
Oh.
like I don't the but yeah, most of my writing advice does come from VV. I don't know if the storyboard mentors have necessarily commented on my
Mm.
writing, but
Mm-mm.
I do get a lot back from VV, and I very much like take note of
Yeah.
everything. Even
Yeah.
if I don't use everything, I still like take note of it.
As you should, because like she's got experience. Like
Yeah.
she's got like 10 years of experience like making like editing manga. All right. So, sorry, I'm trying to recall what I was going to ask. Oh, sorry. So, how do you take critique then, right? Learning in the program, like getting your work reviewed by pros, right? Professionals. Was there ever a moment where you felt like I can't take critique, or have you been like how are you with critique like just in general?
Uh, I'm gonna be honest. I am very obstinate about changing things most of the time, unless I like know it's garbage and I need to change it. But like I don't like having to change my original idea all that much. So I am very stubborn, but like I realize that some things need to be changed.
Hmm.
Uh and so I've been trying to like just step back away from my work and more like distance it from myself to like look at it objectively. That's a hard thing to do, but it
Yeah.
is necessary.
Yeah. For sure, for sure. Because like getting critique, I feel like is the most important thing if you want to be like an artist that does this as a career, right? Like getting feedback on your work is like the most important thing that you're gonna need if you want to be a mangaka, because you're not just making like manga for yourself, you're making manga for an audience, for like readers, right? So it's important that you don't just tell a story that you like, but also a story that readers would like, right? So it's you need to think of your like readership, your future, your potential readership at that point. So that means getting feedback, changing things that need to be changed if your readers like don't resonate with it, that sort of thing. And I get that a lot of beginners can feel really stubborn about their work because you get attached to your work. I've been attached to my work. I mean, in my experience, this is it's not like manga, but in my experience, like back when I was like doing like writing for newspapers, right? I would send in my article and my editor would give it back to me with like so many revisions. Like my article was like full a red ink, like if you guys know, like when you get like your article like reviewed in the newspaper industry, what they do is they literally like note everything down in red ink, and it's just like it's not a good sight to see. Basically, it certainly wasn't for me. But like when you're creating stories for a larger audience, it's par for the course. It's par for the course, right? That you have to um edit your work or adjust your work so that it translates better, right? And a larger audience could um understand it more, right? So I think definitely at first I was frustrated and I would feel pretty stubborn and pretty protective over my work because I didn't like anyone else telling me what to do because I always thought like I knew the best. So I think since then I've definitely realized that there are tons of people who know way more than me. One, because they have a lot of experience, and two, because they just are more talented than me. Basically, that was a hard pill to swallow. So I think for a lot of beginners, that's something that you have to realize is that when you get feedback, it's not an attack on you. If it's good feedback, right? Because there is some critique that can feel a bit personal and it's not constructive at all. But when you do get like constructive criticism and constructive feedback from, let's say, professionals or someone who has had more experience from you, then I think it's important that you take note of it. Like, it's up to you what you want to do with it, but I think it's important that you don't dismiss it entirely because feedback is meant to help, right? And yeah, a lot of beginners like kind of do struggle with it at first. So yeah, if you're the type of person who struggles with getting feedback and struggles and is just stubborn about like your own work, then it's fine. It's to be expected at this point in your career. Well, in your career, it's to be expected at this point in your journey to be a bit more stubborn with stuff. But you have to be open, right? You have to be open, you have to keep an open mind, right? So, okay, next would be okay, what's it like learning how to make manga alongside other fellow aspiring mangakas in the OMD program?
I like seeing what everybody else is doing. Like I like being able to see what everybody else likes, what their writing styles are, what their art styles are. Uh,
Mm,
it's like fun to learn us like along with people. It's also like it's also really useful to see what their critiques are.
mm,
Like, because whenever we're like doing a critiquing session and somebody else has like a one shot idea up and
mm.
VV's like going through it and uh you can see like the advice they get and then
Right.
you can like apply it to your store if you have similar things. It's like, oh hey, that thing's kind of like my thing, or even if it's not kind of like your thing, still keep it in mind because it's like it could be like generally good advice or it's useful. It's like it's good. I like it.
Okay. I'm glad to hear it then. And a lot of the other students in the anthology said the same, is it's really nice to see fellow artists and like just be in this community, like encouraging each other to keep making manga basically, because that's the thing is when you're surrounded by other artists who are aiming towards the same goal of like making a manga and getting their manga in the anthology, it's like you just influence each other positively. Like, oh, this person's doing this, I gotta step up. Oh, this person um got this sort of feedback, noted, right? So I think it's definitely like a good environment to be creative, and you guys get to keep each other accountable, right? Keep yourselves in check. All right. So, looking back, right, what would you tell your past self before he joined the program?
Uh, I would probably whenever I joined the program initially, I was very like I didn't know how things worked. I didn't know like the process of things because the way we do things in the course is that we submit like an ideation sheet and then we submit a like a breakdown with a beat sheet and like the plot events and then we go into the storyboards and I didn't know how that worked,
Mm.
so I just skipped straight to storyboards at one point. Uh, so I would probably just tell myself the process of things because that was like I wasted a lot of time not knowing how like not learning how things worked. Um, so yeah, I'd probably tell myself that. I'd
Mm.
also tell myself to learn how to use Clip Studio Paint.
Like start Clip Studio Paint sooner. Yeah, I
Yeah.
get that. I get that. I mean, I also get that wanting to know the whole step-by-step process of making manga sooner before joining the program, but also that's the point of being in the program is you get to learn these things. You get to learn about ideation, get to learn about kisho tenketsu, basic storytelling structures for manga. Then you get to learn more about like writing the plots for your manga before all of these things before the storyboarding phase, right? So I assume like before you joined the program, you were just figuring out the story as you were storyboarding. Is that fair to say?
I wrote down like a just like plot points, like vague plot points of things I wanted to happen, and then I filled in the in-betweens while drawing the storyboards. Uh,
Mm.
which I don't recommend doing that. I, it doesn't work.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of beginners, for a lot of beginners, it doesn't work. I mean, it's often um if you go at it that way, there's often like a lot of things that you need to redo, or if you're not satisfied with, then you go back and do it all over again, you know. Okay. So that said, do you have any advice for other beginners who are also thinking about creating their very first manga?
Uh, if you're submitting to a contest, make sure you start way before you think you need to start. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
because like I'm gonna be honest, there's a lot of times you're probably gonna want to like procrastinate and not work on it. And if you know that's gonna happen anyway, then you might as well give yourself as much time to procrastinate as possible. Uh,
Right, right.
if you're not submitting to a contest and you're doing it for fun, then do it for fun. Like I would say just throw all your ideas in there
Mm,
and just like have complete fun with it. Like especially if you're not showing it to anybody, if you're just doing it for fun, like just have fun, honestly. So that's this whole thing.
yeah. I like I think honestly, pro tip, like as I'm sure you've already joined like contests a few times at this point, right? I think is Kadokawa like the second time you're joining a
Uh,
contest?
uh, third time? Yeah, third time.
Yeah, yeah. So as someone with experience joining contests, um, might as well give yourself as much time as you can to procrastinate. Definitely words to live by.
If you plan on becoming a weekly manga artist like in Jump or something, you won't have that
Yeah,
luxury.
yeah, yeah.
So you might as well enjoy
Do it
it.
while you can. For sure. For sure. I think that's something that a lot of people really struggle with is like just getting things done on time, especially if they're wanting to like join contests. But if you're just practicing making manga and you're not thinking about joining contests yet, then that's fine. Take as much time as you want. But I think it's also this a similar mindset that you need to have is if you keep procrastinating even when you're not on a deadline, you'll never get anything done. So what I would suggest is like set your own personal deadlines. Is that okay, I want to make this 16-page one shot for my first project, then I got to make sure that I finish it, right? If you know that you're the type to just keep working on something and never finish it because you don't have anyone else keeping you accountable. Like it's just you making this, so who's gonna care, right? But if you really want to make progress, I do encourage like a level of discipline is required if you want to keep getting better with every project. So you gotta be serious about this, right? If you're serious about wanting to make manga, and even if you're not making manga for a contest yet for now, then still keep to like self-imposed deadlines just to make sure that, okay, I've got a self-imposed deadline, I gotta stick to it, and I gotta finish my manga in time for this deadline, right? Because I feel like deadlines are pretty important if you want to make progress, especially for people who just struggle with finishing anything, right? So a certain level of discipline is needed. All right. So that said, thank you so much, Cheese, for that awesome tip. Great advice for people who are looking to start joining contests, right? And for you guys, just so you're aware, if you're joining us late, right? Cheese is one of our students in our one-shot manga drawing program. And yes, if you're tuning into the channel for the first time, or if you've never heard of us, we have a program. It's dedicated to teaching you everything you need to know to make and finish your first one-shot manga. And why one shots, right? Because the whole point of learning how to make one shots is because that's typically how the career starts for a lot of mangakas. Is if you want to be a mangaka, and you want to do this seriously as a career, then it's something that every mangaka has to do. It's kind of like a rite of passage at this point. Is every pro mangaka got their start with making one shots. Because if you think about like your favorite mangas or animes off the top of your head, it most likely started out as a one shot. Like One Piece, Death Note, Dragon Ball, Attack on Titan all started out as one shots. And learning how to make a one shot is an essential critical step in every aspiring mangaka's journey. And our goal is to help empower more aspiring manga artists like you. And we've been working with students through our one shot manga drawing program for the last 3 years. All right. And I just want to highlight some of our other students in the program as well. So we have our student Coco here, and from storyboard to final pages, Coco managed to make her manga from scratch in just 2.5 months. And just look at that difference, you guys. And her manga is also in the anthology, like Cheese's manga. And we also have our student Hang. Now, Hang is a 3D artist and also biochemist, I believe, from Switzerland. And they basically have a full-time job, and they finished this manga on top of juggling a full-time job, and they managed to do it in just 2 months, right? From first sketches up to the final pages. And yeah, Hang's manga is also in the anthology. And of course, we also have our student Sage, right? So Sage, before joining the program, never made a manga before, but Sage always had an interest in manga and always wanted to make a manga and tell stories about luchadors. So luchadors, they're like a type of wrestler, you guys. And Sage is really interested in lucha libre and luchadors and has always wanted to make a manga about them. And since joining the program, she finally has, right? So this is their progress in just 1 month, you guys. So if you want to read more, um, Sage's manga is also in the anthology. So if you want to read our students' mangas and you also want to read Cheese's manga, their full mangas, then I do encourage you guys to check out our full anthology. It's at oneshot.learntodrawmanga.com. All right. So you've seen our students' results, you've read how happy they are with the community and guidance from our mentors. So the question is, do you want in too? Just type I want in the chat. I mean, do you want to get the same type of guidance? Do you want to get the same type of mentorship that our students have had access to? Then just type I want in the chat, you guys. And for those of you who want in, if you want to make your time doing art more meaningful and more productive, then our one shot manga drawing program is for you, because we're on a mission to accelerate your growth all while having fun learning together. And you'll have amazing pro mangaka mentors to guide you, like our mentor, now Yazawa Sensei. Now, Yazawa Sensei is a pro Japanese mangaka with over 30 years of experience in the Japanese manga industry, and she's the creator behind the iconic classic Wedding Peach that actually got turned into an anime, you guys. And we also have our mentor, Renasaya Sensei, who is also a Japanese pro mangaka with over 20 years of experience in the Japanese manga industry. And she's authored manga books with the Japanese publisher Shogakukan and is currently teaching at a manga school in Tokyo. And we also have mentor Steph Pastrano, who is a pro webtoon artist and known for his amazing anime and manga fan art, and is currently creating his own webtoon. And finally, we also have pro manga editor Vivi, who has over 10 years of experience, and she's worked with editorial teams for titles like Record of Ragnarok and Unsung Cinderella, and she's also worked for publishers like Koamix and Kadokawa. All right. So, other than just getting the chance to work with these amazing mentors, you could also get a chance to go to Japan, because for the most committed and high performing students in our program, they could get a chance to fly to Japan on an all expense paid trip and attend Comitia, a top indie manga convention in Tokyo, where you could also pitch your manga directly to Japanese publishers and editors. And if you're interested in getting your work published in our next anthology, then you could also get a chance to publish your manga in our official Learn to Draw Manga anthology if you join the program. All right. So, if you want all that, right? If you want mentorship, if you want to get a chance to go to Japan, if you want to get a chance to be featured in our next anthology, then we're not just taking in anyone. We want to work with aspiring manga artists who want to be empowered. So, this program is for you if you're at least 18 years old and comfortable writing and speaking English. You're a beginner who wants to learn how to draw manga and start telling your own stories, and you have a passion for manga and dream of getting published or winning contests with your original artwork, and you're seeking confidence and a supportive community to share your art and grow as a manga artist. All right. So, if this sounds like you, then I invite you to apply and join our one shot manga drawing program. Again, we're only accepting applicants who are 18 years old and above. All right. So, again, if you're serious about making your first one shot manga and getting started in the next 6 to 12 months with mentorship from pro Japanese mangaka and a pro manga editor, then this is your time to start your manga era, right? So book a free manga roadmap call with us today. We only have 10 slots left for this week. So, yeah, go ahead and apply. The link is in the description. All right, so let me just really quickly send the link over here then while we're here. And in the meantime, you guys, if you guys have any questions for me or for Cheese, then feel free to send them in the chat, because now is the time for the Q&A. All right. So, oh, give me a second, give me a second. All right. Okay. So if you guys have any questions for Cheese, feel free to send them in chat. In the meantime, let me send this link in chat for those of you who want to apply to the program. All right. All right. All right. Okay. I think we did see a couple of questions from a while back ago, but I don't think I can recall them now. So you guys, if you sent a question earlier in the chat, feel free to resend them, so I don't have to scroll back. Okay, Fetchy asks, can we send manuscript or a finished project to get reviewed? Unfortunately, we are currently not accepting like manga submissions or script submissions for review, but we were when we um did our blueprint review session a couple of weeks ago. So if you we will potentially do that again, where we accept submissions and like review your guys' manga or review your guys' scripts, right? So if you want to get a chance to get reviewed live, then I do encourage you to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. That way you stay updated as soon as we announce the next like review workshop. Okay. Okay, Cheese. Claire asks, when you say 10 days, does it include writing the initial story before the actual drawing?
No. The 10 days is just from storyboards to inking to just the drawing. The writing uh that that took I actually submitted the ideation sheet way at the beginning of October,
Hmm.
and then it got looked at, and it got lost somewhere in the process, but it finally got looked at in November, and then I got the beachy critique the week after,
Hmm.
2 weeks later, and then I started on the one shot, and that was like pretty much at the end of November, and uh somewhere around there, yeah.
Hmm. Yeah. So the 10 days was storyboard to final pages, you guys. Okay. We have a question from Anonymous Mangaka. What was it like finishing your one shot towards the end for the contest? I'm assuming they mean like the contest before this one shot. So yeah, well, yeah, I am curious as well. What has been your like manga contest experience been like in general?
Uh, Stressful.
Stressful. Yeah,
Like being
for
pressed
sure.
up against a deadline. It was more obvious with the anthology. Actually, wait, no, with my one shot that I did for the Wordless World last year, I was also pressed up against the deadline. Like I
Mm,
submitted it on the last day of the submission portal. Uh, but it's like whenever you're met with a deadline, it's stressful, but after you meet the deadline, it is like it's like the biggest relief you'll ever get in your entire life.
right, right.
It's like ugh. It's like the first time you can relax in like a week. Like,
Especially after all of that, like putting everything into this project, right? And I think once you start joining contests, that's why you need to get used to like self-imposed deadlines. That way you don't get as stressed as you're working for a contest, right? So yeah. Yeah. But
yeah,
especially if it's your first time, it's gonna be like a stressful experience for your first time, that's for sure.
yeah. That's
Okay.
why I've been just like learning to draw faster.
Hmm.
Like one thing I struggle with, or I've struggled with ever since I've my entire life, is like line confidence. Because I always just sketch like 1,000 times in the same spot before I even like start doing hard lines, and it's
Mm.
like, and it wastes so much time. Like I've been practicing. I'm practicing right now. In fact, like I'm drawing right now in real life. Like it's like in order to get faster. So like whenever I eventually want to get like a weekly series in some publisher, I will have the speed to do it and won't have to worry about my shoddy lines. Like I don't even know what caused that bad habit to begin with. I think it's because I'm like self-taught mostly.
Mm.
Because like I like I don't know.
Yeah. And
We
also,
don't really.
I think it's sorry, not to interrupt, but I think it's interesting how you saying, "Oh, you're drawing right now," and I'm like, "Oh, okay, that's some dedication." Because that image just suddenly reminded me of like Deku from My Hero Academia, just working out in the middle of class. Like, you gotta do what you gotta do to level up, you guys. Okay. All right, all right. We have another, okay, not a question, but like a comment from A25 for Cheese. Oh, just want to say well done and don't be too hard on yourself. Right.
Thanks.
And and Kaizen says, I think that he was fair with himself just enough to take another step forward. Yes, for sure, for sure. And he is gonna keep going, you guys. Okay,
Yeah, I'm
we
already
have
planning my next one shots. I have two more
Yeah.
in the making right now.
And you just finished a one shot, right? For
Yeah, like
Kadokawa.
last week.
Yeah, yeah. So he's already on to his next thing, you guys. All right. From Mighty Geek Studio. Okay, have you ever tried the 24-hour comics day challenge to get the hang of
Um,
deadlines?
I
Hmm.
have not. What was that?
I assume that's like you gotta make a comic every day for
Oh, that sounds
24 hours.
exhausting. I'd never be able
Yeah.
to do that.
I'm assuming just from the 24-hour comics day challenge. I'm assuming that's what that means, but yeah. But I do know some students who tried Inktober. So they would make like a short manga like every day for Inktober, that sort of thing. We do have students who've tried that before. All right. Anything maybe one or two more questions, you guys, before we end today.
If nobody has a question, I do have advice that I could give.
For we there's like a piece of advice from Fetchy for you, Cheese. Maybe try using textured brushes instead because they hide mistakes.
Yeah, fair enough. Uh, Like, uh, like I need to download a bunch of textured brushes. Like I don't have any. Like I just use all the default brushes. How do
Hmm.
you organize stories onto paper?
Hmm.
I kind of, I kind of I do a bunch of stuff. I kind of like whenever I don't feel like writing and I just want to draw and I want to plan out like a one shot or just like an idea I have in my head, I usually just like I don't even bother writing down thumbnails, like little thumbnail images. I just do like use the free space on the page and just like draw illustration after illustration after illustration in some vague sequence of events without any panels on it.
Hmm.
Or if I'm like organizing it, I'll just like instead of drawing in a sketchbook, I'll just write paragraph after essay after freaking thesis statement. Like like it, but yeah,
Hmm.
is it possible to draw manga on a Chromebook?
I'm not. Do you use a Chromebook? I'm not sure anyone has
Uh,
any experience using Chromebooks here. I'm
I
sorry.
mean, you can do anything if you believe in
Yeah,
yourself hard enough.
yeah. Make use of whatever you have at your disposal for sure. Okay. So one thing from A25 for deadlines, I think maybe you draw mini manga and get an idea of how long it takes for you to get through each step with the best results. That way you'll learn your own pace and can adjust as you improve. Yeah, for sure. Because like
Absolutely.
practice makes perfect. That's for sure. And like as you keep on going through that same process of making manga from coming up with the ideas to storyboarding to finishing it, you get used to that process and you get the more used to it you get, the faster you get for some parts. Maybe like the more you go through the writing process, the more easier it is for you to come up with like plots for your manga. Or maybe the more you go through like the storyboarding process, like the easier it gets, basically. So yeah, for sure. Practice makes perfect. All right.
Somebody asked what was the hardest part for this one shot.
Mm,
Uh, like finishing it or drawing, I guess. Drawing was hard. It
yeah.
was fun, but it was definitely hard. Like all I remember is just one big blackout until it was finished. Like
Yeah. I did notice that Needles was definitely a bit more, how would I say? Other than
unpolished.
the fact, no, not unpolished. Like other than the fact that it's literally a horror manga, so it practically called for it. Like it was a bit more, I would say, slow paced or a bit less dynamic than the typical manga that you would make. Because I know like you've done action, a bit more action packed stuff before. So this one was a bit more tense because it's a manga, a horror manga, right? But I feel like what really carried it were the shock moments, basically. So I think it was it was a great experiment, especially for a first timer making horror manga before. That's something that a lot of beginners don't really get right once they start making horror manga is that they don't get the shock factor right, basically. So I feel like for a first try it was really solid. It was really solid. Okay. So Kaizen asks, what did you take away from working on needles? How has it made you improve?
Uh, the main thing I took away was probably, I'd say just give myself more time before a deadline, because like the artwork was really rushed and it came out sloppy, and I think it looks really unfinished. Uh, the one shot I just finished last week for Kadokawa, I gave myself a whole like month to do it, and I worked on it on my own pace. And I like the artwork. It's not perfect, but I like it a lot more compared to Needles. I think it also fits my natural style a lot more, and I didn't have to change it that much, which is also another reason why I don't like the art in Needles because it doesn't really look like my style.
Mhm. But it was well worth a try, that's for sure. I feel like you still ended up with a
Yes.
really like enjoyable manga at least.
I'm glad
And
everybody enjoyed it because I
yeah.
didn't enjoy it. Like whenever I was reading through the anthology, I would just like skip, 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 skip. Oh, hey, look, the next person.
Yeah, so just so you know, like from the reader survey, you did get like a lot of votes for the manga for Needles. So for sure, I know that a lot of people did enjoy Needles a lot be because I think it was the only horror manga of the bunch in the
Oh, so it
anthology.
just stood out, I guess.
Yeah.
I
But it
guess
was
that
still
makes
good. It was
sense.
still good.
Although
People still enjoyed it.
I liked Hangs the most, the one with the
Mm,
wolf.
right, right. I did enjoy Hangs as well. But yeah, and it did Hangs also did get like a lot of votes from the reader survey as well. Both of you guys did good. All right. Okay, so I think that's about all the time we have for questions today, you guys. Thank you so much for joining us and listening to Cheese and listening to today's discussion and for sending in your questions, you right? So I hope you guys had a great time.
Uh,
And Cheese, thank you as well. Would you like to say anything to our audience before we end today?
yes, I have one final piece of
Yeah.
advice.
Yeah.
If you're struggling to stay motivated or be inspired, or like if you're just waiting for like the right thing to hit to like start writing your story, one piece of advice is to stop doom scrolling. Uh, I rest my case. That was it.
For sure, for sure. Yeah. I mean, for sure, you guys stop doom scrolling, lock in, and focus, basically. So if you want to avoid doom scrolling, like uninstall TikTok, get rid of TikTok.
Yeah, perfect advice.
All right, you guys. So that said, I also have one last like thing that I want to leave you guys with before we end, right? So I guess I want you to ask yourselves, what will you be tomorrow if you start today, right? So if you're someone who's always wanted to make manga, but you've never started yet, then I do encourage you guys to take the leap because you've seen our students, you've seen Cheese, you've seen how they've joined the program and they've already made significant progress. They've already made, in Cheese's case, he's already made like multiple projects since joining the program. And now they've already made significant improvements in their art, their storytelling skills. And that could be you if you finally decide to start today, right? So if you start today, just imagine how much progress you could make in like a month, 2 months, 6 months, right? So you can do it if you just take the leap, right? And if you need extra help, if you need guidance and you need someone to keep you accountable as you start learning how to make manga, then sign up to our one shot manga drawing program today. Again, the link is in the pinned comment and it is in the description as well. All right. So yeah, that's about all the time we have for today, you guys. Thank you guys so much for joining, and I'll see you guys at our next workshop. Our next workshop is a logline workshop. So if you want to learn how to come up with ideas and come up with pitches for your manga, then go ahead and sign up to our logline workshop. I'll send the link here real quick. Ah. Give me a second. All right. All right. Sorry for the lull, but there you go. So if you want to join our next free workshop, I've sent the link in chat. All right. So yes, thank you guys so much, and I'll see you guys at our next live stream. Hope you have a great rest of your day, everyone. Bye bye. Okay.